So the 10th anniversary for Destiny has come and gone, and it was a little disappointing. I'm not saying they should have given us, Destiny 1 remastered or remade, ported to PC, 4K, 60 FPS, 105 FOV and all that, or out of the blue Destiny 3 announcement and whatever. But I feel like asking for a little bit more, considering what we got, is fine. Even considering Into the Lights, because I feel it just maybe, possibly, that was pushed forward a little bit. But even then, I don't see why we got some little outside of upper management just not caring. For those who haven't logged on or seen anything yet, for the 10th anniversary in-game, we got a Destiny 1 inspired armor set for all three classes. We got the ornaments for those armor sets, so we didn't have to transmog them, and a title. Outside of the game, we got posts on social media, obviously, a blog post about the 10th anniversary, and a video of Orbit music. News about codename Frontiers was also announced and given to us on the anniversary, so if you want to count that, you can. However, that is frankly very little, and I personally don't count for codename Frontiers information, as that could have basically just been given to us whenever, and even counting that, we got basically very little anyway. This is the level I would expect from, say, a first or second anniversary, not celebrating the franchise lasting a decade. And again, yes, Into the Light was probably meant to be the 10th anniversary. Even then, you don't actually need Into the Lights for it to be an actual celebration that would be better than what we currently have. And here's my idea for it. The thing I'd primarily want to change is probably the most personally disrespectful thing here, that being the Legend title. In order to get said title, it requires you to do 7 objectives. These are getting the new armor set, claiming the universal ornaments for the armor set from the tower, completing all 4 timeline missions, which are missions from past campaigns with new dialogue added on, completing 13 Crucible, Gambit or Strike activities whilst wearing all of the new armor, defeating enemies and collecting 15 engrams of the Skywatch whilst wearing all of the new armor, decrypting 10 engrams overhaul, and achieving Guardian rank 8. Now, considering that Become Legend has been the tagline of the game in all of Destiny's advertising and throughout the entire franchise, I feel a little disrespected. That I'm assuming management for a title that is based off the tagline of the game is for the 10th anniversary and would be something that is usually probably dedicated at the game's most dedicated audience, is a title that should have been for new lights and both looks and feels entirely aimed at new players. Like, who is going to have played the game for 10 years and then needs to go play the timeline missions to relearn the story? And getting Guardian rank 8, the only reason I don't actually have that this year is because I don't want to go do the co-op missions again after already redoing all of them for Microcosm. Because for some reason they didn't make the co-op missions objective retroactive and still haven't, basically a season later now. And the thing about the Legend title that annoys me more is that they've already made titles before that do a significantly better job at celebrating the game and the franchise as a whole. Pantheon title recently, and Hell Pantheon as a whole, was an amazing celebration of the raids from the last few years, giving us a great boss rush, a great title that made us want to go into them, because who looks at Godslayer and doesn't think that's cool? Gave us emblems and objectives that rewarded us for doing well in the Pantheon. And another title that does this incredibly well in my opinion was the MMXX title, otherwise known as the Moments of Triumph 2020 title. This was created to basically give us a send-off to all of the content that was leaving on Beyond My launch. And it requires you to do all of the raids bar Last Wish that were available at the time, these being Leviathan, Eater of Worlds, Spire of Stars, Crown of Sorrow, Garden of Salvation, and Scourge of the Past, which not only gave you progress towards the title, but also an emblem and the first ever raid wing. You also needed to get a total of 50k Triumph score, which required you to do a very significant amount of Triumphs to get done. For example, I only have 74,000 Triumph score by the end of Arrivals. And then you had to do a number of objectives throughout the game. These being complete bounties, complete Powerful's Pinnacle challenges, complete strikes, complete Nightfall strikes, reset Crucible Ring during Arrivals, win matches and trials during Arrivals, deposit modes and get precision kills on Gambit, complete all Moonlost sectors, complete a tier 5 Nightbird boss, complete Pit of Heresy, complete the Prophecy dungeon, reach tier 100 in Arrivals, completing the Arrivals story, destroying Seraphion's eyes, which was also the method for obtaining Ruinous Effigy's catalyst. Being all 3 exotics from Season of the Arrivals, being Witherhoard, Traveler's Chosen, and Ruinous Effigy, obtaining Magnificent Solstice Armor, which is the legendary set, and earning a glow on any Solstice Armor piece, which she then had to either complete a Master Nightfall, complete a Nightmare Hunt, complete Pit of Heresy, win matches and trials, or defeat the final boss in Altars of Sorrow. There was also another 4 triumphs that gave you cosmetics and a t-shirt code, from just doing triumphs that counted towards the overall triumph count. And something that was cool about this is that you didn't need to get all 30 triumphs. I believe you only needed 28 of them in order to actually get MMXX. So if you won that for Solstice, or just couldn't do one of the 2 objectives, and you did get one of the Solstice ones done, you basically just didn't have to. And personally, I think this is a much better way of celebrating the game, as it actually gets you to do everything in the game, including in-games such as Nightfalls, Raids, and Trials of Osiris, instead of sitting in the Skywatch for 2 hours or playing ritual activities without an exotic hookup for 2 hours. I feel if they took inspiration from MMXX especially, just that would be enough for a good anniversary. For example, you can make it a 77 Triumph title that you only need to do 38 of, and it includes doing all of the raids, campaigns, PvE activities such as strikes, nightfalls, even onslaught if you want to include that. There's Gambit, planetary triumphs from basically everywhere, getting all the exotics, just literally everything in the game. It doesn't even have to be like 77 triumphs, it can be 30 like MMXX, just whatever works. I think a title that's actually good will do way more for both players and Bungie, as a good title would give players something to grind for, which is great during a time like this where Episode Echoes is practically empty, and because players have something to grind for, it'll drive up player statistics. And outside of a title, they could have doubled drops in reputation throughout the game for even just a day if it had caused problems in the economy, giving players bright dust or materials, like just anything. Anything better than what we have now. As with what we've got now, it legitimately feels like management just don't give a shit. And that's quite disappointing, really. And considering the news which keeps popping up, I wouldn't be surprised if management truly done. And they're just trying to rely on Marathon to generate the income in the future alongside that mobile game. And that's not me saying it's probably all doom and gloom for the franchise, as I actually like the Frontiers news. But this anniversary could have gone so much better, even without having to add a bunch of new content to the game. So, yeah. Hopefully next week I can think of something to talk about that isn't going to be complaining about the game or think of any idea at all. And that's it. Like, comment, sub, use your YouTuber stuff, and adios.